Hi there, and welcome to the Modern Firm Practices Show. I'm your host, Brad Turville, and just last week I presented on the Accountants Daily Strategy Week, which was a great 3-day online virtual event, and I was asked to talk on my favorite topic, which is modern firm practices, but specifically talking on pricing and services. So I had a couple of pillars that I covered, and the first one, which I want to cover today, which I think was the most important, and also it's the one that I received the most feedback on the back of, was on the topic of scope stretch. So let's start by defining that. Scope stretch, you might have also heard of scope creep, you might have heard of scope seep. And so let's look at them. Scope, under the banner of scope stretch, that's when we have an engagement with a client, and in the course of doing that job, the client asks for more from us. So you might have heard things like, while you're here, can you also do this? Or can you also do that for me? So they're adding more to your pile of work. It's now outside the scope of what you initially scoped out the job to do. And it should be rescoped and repriced and so on. And also rescheduled in. They don't just get to keep jumping to the front of the line. So that's how a job blows out. The alternative is the other way around. So you're working as the accountant, you're working on a file, and you identify some areas that might need some attention. There might be some tax problems, some bookkeeping problems. There might be, a bigger external problem that you've now found. There might be an opportunity. It might be to do with structuring. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you then see this problem and you then just fix it in the course of doing the job. So just to look at those two, the first one is the client asks more from you and you just do it. So the average hourly rate on the job is now blown out. The time on the job is blown out. The client is getting more and more value, but for the same price. And they probably don't value and understand that it's separate and it's got its own a time and effort and so on involved. The other way around is you're just then going and doing it. So you might find a little tax or bookkeeping problem, and you then just keep going and fixing it. You don't go back to the client and educate them on what's happened and communicate to them what's happened and what it means and what we should do about it, and also what the price is to fix all of that up. Scope stretch is a massive issue in a lot of firms, and I know that because I talk to a lot of firms and they say that exact thing to me. So I wanted to cover off on what I presented at Strategy Week, and there was sort of 4 parts to this about where to sort of start and how to look at it, and then really what to do about it. So the first part is that you've already got legacy clients. So you might have clients that are already maybe quite sensitive to price or a certain way of working with you, or they have a certain expectation of working with you, or they're used to working with you in a certain way, or they're used to just asking for things and you just do it, or you might have done things for free in the past when you shouldn't have. You should have rescoped it, but you've done it in the past, and they're now used to that, and they now like that, and they now expect that. So you might have that with existing clients. With new clients that come on board, you can paint the picture however you want from day one. So if you decide right now in watching or listening to this that we're stopping scope stretch right now, which means if the client asks for more, yep, great, here's how we can help you out. This is what it looks like. This is what we need to do. This is when we can fit you in to do it, and this is how much it's going to cost. You can start that with new clients from day one because they don't know any different from working with you. When someone starts working with you, you start to set the expectation and the standards and the pattern. So it's way easier to stamp this out for new clients. So if you do anything on the back of watching or listening to this, from new clients going forth, set the standard. For existing legacy clients, there's going to be some education and communication involved. So if they're asking for more than what they've been engaged, you just need to say to them that this is outside the scope of what we've been engaged to do, or we'd really love to help you with that. It's in addition to how we're currently working, and here's how we can help you with it. Now, you might get some pushback, in regards to the client saying, well, we've never had this before, or you've never charged for this before, or I'm not sure what you mean here. This is the opportunity for you to educate them and just be honest. That's all I'm asking here. So I'm jumping ahead of myself in some of the dot points here, but expect that from legacy clients, and I'll be sharing how you can help them with that in a moment. The second point is that you need to lead your team and lead your clients. So I love the saying that the fish rots from the head down, and the team always are looking up to the leader to see how should I act and what should I do. And so you as a partner or as a senior leader, you need to be acting and taking control of this and taking an accountability around our firm has got a lot of scope stretch and it needs to stop. And I need to start leading the team and empowering the team, and I need to stop doing it myself, because you might be your own worst enemy here. You might actually be the worst at it. So it needs to start with you. And then you need to focus on educating the team on what scope stretch is. I mean, you might want to give them this audio or video to watch. You might want to just educate them in a meeting. You might need to do it in every weekly or monthly meeting. That going forward, this is what we might have accepted and what we might have let sort of slip, but going forth, we can't do that. We're looking to tighten things up. We've got value slipping between the gaps. We feel like, we're starting to feel a certain way and we're not happy about it, but we're the ones that have to fix it. And this is how we're going to go about fixing it. So it's educating the team. And when some of your team start to let the scope stretch, you need to pull them up on them and again, educate them on this is what's happened and we need to put a stop to this and here's why. And so next time this comes up, if you don't know how to handle it or what to do, instead of just doing it, you need to go to your manager or your client manager or supervisor or director and flag it with them and get their hand and their help to say, hey, how would you tackle this? How would you rescope it? How would you have the conversation? The clients come back to me and they've said this, or this. What do you think I should do? Don't just let it slide. And you need to lead with your clients. So again, educate the clients. If there is some change, educate the clients. Shoot them a quick video. Shoot them something like this. Shoot them a Loom video and say, hey, we're making a few changes around here. Here's what they are. Here's what they mean for you. Here's why we're doing them. Here's what you should expect. Don't just surprise a client that you did all these things last year, didn't charge. The client goes, great, this is great. You do it again this year and then you charge for it all and you're charging in arrears. So the client then gets a surprise bill. You're going to end up with a fight on your hands. It literally comes down to just communicating. Not all clients are going to love it, but what we need to keep in mind here is they've been getting it for free, okay? So the reason that they don't like it now is that they've had it for free and now they need to pay. The real point here is that they should have always paid. It's just that you let them have it for free. And that's what you need to communicate and educate them on. And that brings me to the third point, which is educate and communicate. So if you update a policy, send it out to them. Send out an email. Make some personal phone calls, especially with big clients, sensitive clients, long-term clients of influence. Share it. Empower your team to share it, empower your team to talk about it, maybe put together a working document, a communication document on here's how to email or talk to a client about these changes, and here's probably the 6 objections, and not even objections, but questions that you're going to get back from them. Here's how you should answer them. And that will sort of help the definitely juniors and intermediates and even admin support and reception coming to you every 5 seconds asking, hey, so-and-so's come back with this and that, what should I do about it? They can start to take a little bit of responsibility, and you can also empower them to tackle these sort of things. They don't always have to be tackled by the partner. And so you're educating and communicating with your clients what's going on, what it means for them, and that, you may be saying to them flat out, you know what, I probably should have been charging you for this every single year and we haven't. And so we're not going to go back and write you an invoice out of the blue and say, hey, we should have charged you for it and so here's your invoice. No, we're going to wear that, but going forward, here's what it needs to look like. And that then leads to the fourth step, which is the additional engagement. So when you identify scope stretch, it's educating and talking to the client what it is, what you found, or what they're asking for you. It might not be as simple as they think. You might be doing a disservice by giving them a quick answer. So they call about something instead of you giving them a quick answer. It may be in their benefit, and it might help them create a better outcome if you look at it a bit closer. You don't think and make it up on the spot. You might need to look at some legislation or look at some files or talk to some senior people or kick an idea around with a few people and then come back to them with an answer and a response that is going to better serve them. That's what you would go back and say to them. And then you send the additional engagement. And for those of you that price up front, or you're looking to price up front, or you price on a subscription basis, then you will already have a lot of your work scoped out, and it will either already be paid up front or a percentage up front, or it'll be paid off month by month. For scope stretch, you will be sending an additional engagement. And again, that will be agreed to by the client, and they will either pay the top-up payment or a 50-50 or a spread over a couple of months, however you want to negotiate and put the terms in place. So looping back, legacy clients, they're going to take a little bit more work and re-education about the changes and why and what it means. New clients going forth, set the standard from day one. Here's how we work. As soon as any sort of scope stretch problem comes up, bang, address it. Hey, here's how we work at our firm. This comes up. This is what we need to do. This is how much it's going to cost you. You're just setting a good standard from day one, and it's much easier to maintain that standard than to already be down here and have to jump up. Lead your team, lead your clients, and set the standard, and then work to maintain the standard. Expect not everyone to knock it out of the park from day one. Your team I'm talking about here. They're not all just going to be able to jump up and stop scope stretch like that. Because they've probably been doing things a certain way for a long time. It won't even be a habit for them yet. So again, you need to keep that in place. And number 3, educate and communicate. You could almost over communicate this and it would be okay. You're just being open and honest, and that's the best piece of advice I can say. If you think you've undercharged something, say to the client, hey, we probably have undercharged this, especially compared to all of my friends and accountants and competitors. Or hey, we should have been charging for this, and every other accountant I know charges for this. So, I just want to bring that to your attention, and I want you to know that's a win that you've had for the last 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 years. We're not going to bill you for it, but going forward, we need to bring that up to a commercial basis. Number 4 is send the additional engagement. Talk to them, communicate them. You'll get conceptual agreement when you talk to them, and you'll address any questions or problems. And it's going to be more difficult when you first start doing it because it's change. But with change, it becomes less difficult over time because clients will start to get used to the fact that there's no getting away with or getting what they used to get for free, or they're now aware that, I'm sorry, I thought, because a lot of clients, right, if you're doing things for free or you've got a lot of scope stretch, they don't know any different. So it's actually on you. Okay, because if a client asks for some more things to be done and you just do it and don't bill them, the clients are going to love it. Of course, they're not going to say, oh, John, Mary, you should have sent me a bill for that. No, they just do it and take it. So a lot of them will probably come back to you if you tighten up your scope stretch, and they're going to come back and they're probably going to say, you know what, I was surprised on these few jobs that you actually didn't bill me for it. So education process there for everyone. I had a question come through on Accountants Daily Strategy Week, and they asked, what do you do if you have had low-paying clients in scope stretch for a long, long time? I would suggest you just follow that framework that I spoke about. Be open and educate and communicate with the clients. And hey, they might have had a lot of scope stretch for a long time, or you mightn't have put your prices up for a long time. You just need to be open and honest. You're running a business here. You can't be expected to work for free. And you know what? That's on me. I have been allowing this to happen. And you know what? When I first started in business and it was just me or just a few people, we could get away with a few of these things. And look, we thank you for being a client and a long-term loyal client. But as our business has grown and the model and so on and so forth, we need to bring things up to a more realistic level. And these things we've been doing for free. Look, we're going to look after you where we can, but these are going to have to be introduced, and going forward, this is what it needs to look like. You just need to be open and honest. And if you've had a lot of things that you have been doing and haven't been charging for, and you now want to rein that in, and the client then says, well, no, if it's going to cost me, then I'm not going to, I don't want you to do it. Well, they weren't paying you in the past to do it anyway. So who cares if they say no? All right, think about that. In the past, there's been scope stretch, meaning you don't get paid for that particular thing. You now say, hey, this is going to be to work together and help you with it. This is going to be the fee, and the client goes, thanks, but no thanks. You're still not worse off. In fact, you're now in a better position because you've got that time and capacity back. So, I hope those 4 areas are helpful. We have also now released this show, Modern Firm Practices Show, as a podcast. It is called Modern Firm Practices Show. If you're listening to this on the podcast in your earbuds or on your radio or driving in your car, hello to all of you podcast listeners. If you would like to check it out, I'll put a link in the description. Also, for the Modern Firm Practices membership, head over to modernfirmpractices.com, where we continue these conversations and have a lot of support and collaboration and a lot of additional trainings. I would love to see you in there. It's modernfirmpractices.com. Until next week, I am Brad Turville.